like to start the show off. And I was just telling Tone, thank you, Haason Content. Big Sills! And to all my snowy friends in the Northeast, my aunt sent me a picture, and she's got 10 inches of snow in Connecticut right now. So, I mean, hey, okay, so like when you guys share those pictures around the country to people who don't live in the snow, isn't that beautiful? Oh my God, it's so great. Yeah, they don't know that you spent 30 minutes putting your shit on and taking it off just to go get a loaf of bread. And you have to do that every time. Then you have to shovel the sidewalks. Then you have to shovel the driveway. Then you have to worry about being a maniac on the road and other maniacs on the road who can't handle the snow. And everyone's like, get me out of here. But everybody, like, you know, if you're down in like Florida, you know, you're like, oh, look at that snow. It's great. You're like, no, it's not like that. Okay? That's right, Sue. So look how beautiful it is, right? You get that from your family around the country. And then you're like this. It's a pain in the ass. It's a pain in the ass. What a ton of content that we have here for you this week. And as I said, Haason Reddick's name is now Haason Content. Oh my God, I love it. We got a ton of stuff for you here. Obviously, the agent did this. The agent for Haason Reddick leaked this out to a sports writer and to other people in the media. Why? They want to get a buzz to see what the market looks like. And to me, they were probably having conversations, and Howie and them laid it out. We're doing this. We'd like to restructure the contract. And by the way, I heard Tone saying, you know, give him an extra cup. I'm not giving you shit. I'm going to make a statement on Haason Reddick. Personally, if Haason Reddick doesn't take a pay cut and restructure the deal, I don't want him back. He's a liability to my defense. But Sills, he's the best pass rusher. Well, there's more to pass rushing. Take a look at your defense last year. He had no impact. He had zero impact on your defense. Zero. That was $15 million of wasted money. You wasted 50. He brought you nothing because he could do one thing. Haason Reddick on a football team that is good against the pass and good against the run, he's worth $15 million. But when you struggle at both, he's useless because he can't cover and he can't tackle. What's the point? Those 12 sacks he had meant nothing. You had the worst pass defense in the league. And after week 11, you were the worst run defense in the league. I'm not paying for that. As a matter of fact, I'm more apt to say this. I'm trading you. I really don't want you here. Now, I'll take you at 12 million or 10 million. But I'm not taking you at $15 million, and plus we have to restructure that base. He brings nothing to your team. When you have issues, like check this out. If Haason Reddick was on the 49ers, where they have very few holes, he's a $15 million a year guy. But you have a complete overhaul to do on your defense. What's paying $15 million to a pass rusher where you can't stop the pass and you can't stop the run? What's the point? Again, you don't look at it clearly. You look at the 12 sacks and go, he's our best defensive player. No, he's not. Josh Sweat's your best. That is a misnomer. Haason Reddick is not your best defensive football player. You know how you know that? Look at market value. It's Josh Sweat. That's an opinion that people have that Reddick's your best defensive player. All you have to do is look at market value. Right now, Josh Sweat has a $21 million market value. And that number is going to go up. That's a fact. That's a fact. Look at this. Flexing goes, Josh Sweat is no bet. What are you talking about? The NFL doesn't look at it that way, guy. If you put Josh Sweat on the market right now, he might get $25 million per year. That's $10 million more than your boy. You don't follow the money. You follow your passion. It's you know what? It's frustrating to talk to some of you because you don't understand. The league starts with cash, player value. That's it. You can be a talented player like a DeAndre Swift, and you're still the 6th ranked running back on the board. It doesn't matter what your talent is. It makes you relevant. But your market value is the number one asset on how teams look at you. What are you worth? Hey, isn't that with anything in life when it's business? What's your talent's worth to a business? It's not what you love. What do you bring to a business? That's fact. Wait. What do you mean you got to be kidding? All you have to do is look at market value. Okay, only a dummy would pay $21 million for Josh Sweat. No, that's not what it is. I can't believe that you're not listening to me. That's not my opinion. Don't you understand? That's not my opinion. Josh Sweat's market value today, according to the National Football League, is $21 million. He's your best defensive player, not a guy who's a one-trick pony. You can dispute the facts all you want. You can dispute the facts. You got a complete overhaul and a complete rebuild. How about this? What's more important to you right now? Re-signing Haason Reddick or getting some damn linebackers that can actually play some football? Is Haason Reddick more important than a safety or a potential corner? Hey, I'd take that resources of $15 million and go make that trade with Patrick Surtain before I re-sign that guy. Man, you guys aren't looking at this correctly. You're just not. This guy's not worth that money. On that team, in that rebuild, he's not worth it. So let me get this right. You're going to bring him back. And 15, 17, you're going to pay more for a guy who's limited in ability. Very eagle-ish. And then you're going to go to work with Nakobe Dean and Zach Cunningham, draft some rookie safeties and a corner, and you're going to go to battle with that in next year's NFC, you won't make the playoffs. But our offense is good. Yeah, well, guess what? There's another part of a football team. It's called defense. Did you watch the Super Bowl? Man. There's a lot of people that see the game differently than me. I see the game the way the NFL does. You guys see the game the way Pom-Pom Wavers see it. Haason Reddick's your best defensive player? Really? What? Why? Because you asked the guy over on the perimeter, Josh Sweat, to play 300 more downs than anybody else on the team? He still got through the season He's your best player. It's a guy you build around. How about this? Jordan Davis. Here's your best players on your team. Josh Sweat and Fletcher Cox are your two best defensive players, and then Milton Williams. And then Jalen Carter. Those are your three best defenders. And the rest of those guys, maybe Jordan Davis, I don't know. He's limited too. Look, you got two limited guys on your team. Jordan Davis can't play on third down, and really Haason Reddick can't play on first and second down. And you're going to go to battle with that. Man, holy cow. That makes no sense. Prove what? All you got to do is put up that one great website that Tone uses, and you can see the market value. The market value is $21 million. I don't have to prove shit, dude. Everyone knows it. Josh Sweat is your biggest asset on defense, not Reddick. Dude, there's a reason he's been on 3 teams if he's so great. He's limited. I've never seen a guy who has got so many sacks, who has been on 3 teams. Myles Garrett, TJ Watt, JJ Watt, Max Crosby. Those guys aren't on multiple teams. When you find an elite pass rusher and you find a guy like that can cover, tackle, and rush the passer, you don't get rid of those guys. When you have limited limitations on your defense, okay, like you do, dude, you can't do the 2 things that are the most important thing on defense. Stop the run and stop the pass, and you're killed on first down. And you're killed on third down. How are you going to win? You guys keep telling me that, you're like a playoff team next year. Here, how about this? Dude, I think you have a second round to conference championship offense if things fall right for you. I think you have the bottom 3 defensive football unit in the league. It's an unbalanced roster. What does that tell you? You have nothing on that schedule next year that's a given. It's not because of your offense. It's because of your shitty defense. There's not a given win on your schedule. You proved that down the stretch. Where would you come off that this is going to get better? What, because you hired Vic? Dude, I got to tell you, you don't have the Jimmies and Joes. You don't have them yet. Bringing back Reddick's a mistake. It's a mistake. Oh, no, again, $10 million bucks. So let me ask you this. You're going to bring back Fletcher Cox at 10, which is way too much money. And you're going to bring back Haason Reddick at 17 million. So you're going to pay an old guy and overpay him. Then you want to give that ceremonial retirement tour to Brandon Graham. And you want to bring back a one-trick pony on a $17 million deal. This is lining up to be a disaster. That's not how you... I'm not sure you've come to the conclusion or you've come to the grips that you have to strip that defense down. You have very few redeeming qualities. I'll take Slay back. I'll take Slay. Your safeties, Reed Blankenship, you're overhyping him. He's okay. Those other kids Showed promise? You mean potential? Oy. Okay. Potential. Means you haven't done it. You overplayed Bradbury, and I was in agreement with it. You have not one redeeming linebacker on your football team. Okay? I mean, you're overpaying. You know, you might want to take this into consideration. You might want to have to take a step back a little bit, like Kansas City did. How about the way Kansas City handled their season? I think they handled it great. Kansas City, it was considered a down season with the 11 wins. They ended up winning a Super Bowl. Because why? Patrick Mahomes had to carry the offense because they were retooling the defense on the fly. They were rebuilding it. They rebuilt that defense from 3 years ago. And they got great coaching, which you don't have. Or how about this? You want to hear this? How many people are going like this? Well, we got some really good coordinators. Well, we'll see how it works. Still a question mark. There's no question mark in coaching in Kansas City. There's no question mark. They have Mahomes. Okay? They have Mahomes. Right. And that's why they can rebuild. That's why you have to keep your offense intact because you don't have Mahomes. You know, every time people now from now on say that, Sills, Kansas City has Mahomes. You're right. Philly doesn't. So what does that mean? And I'll say it. Every other team in the league, except for maybe Buffalo, has to rely on more players. That's why your situation's a lot tougher to rebuild than Kansas City. Kansas City can rebuild like that because why? They have the guy. You don't. You have a guy. Like Cincinnati, like San Francisco. So this isn't just a Philly thing. You're right. You don't have the guy. 49ers cap, $37 million carrying over to 24, 4.6. Okay. They don't have any holes to fill. They'll restructure. Everyone will want to run that thing back. They're $570 over right now, $570,000 under the cap right now. They'll restructure everything. They'll get it done. John Lynch is a great GM. He knows what he's doing. There's no holes to fill in San Francisco. There's no holes. Zero. They got to run that thing back again. Then they got the quarterback, like we've been saying, on a team-friendly deal, $870,000. Okay? 16 free agents. Yeah, well, we'll see. Guarantee you they don't lose any of those guys because they're all making top-end dollar. Okay? Who are they losing? Bosa? Warner? Debo? Kittle? Williams? Are you losing any of them guys? McCaffrey? Are they losing any of them guys? It's all right. Worry about it. Okay? Dude, let's get back on focus on your shitty defense. I got some landing spots here for Haason Reddick. Here again, I'm going to make it and I'm going to say it. Haason Reddick is a liability at the money he's making right now to your rebuild defense. I am not paying him a cent higher than what he's making now because that's not his market value. His market value is between 12 and 15 million. He ain't a $20 million a year guy. And when you got deals on the horizon with Devontae and Landon Dickerson, and you still got to figure out what you're going to do in the next 2 years with AJ. I have no interest in that. I have no interest. Micah Parsons is a 10-time better player than Haason Reddick. Reddick is a 5-time better pass rusher than Parsons. Give me Micah Parsons every day. He does more. The value of paying him $20 million or $15 million, he can cover a tight end. He's not horrible in tackling. Now you can run at him. Does he have holes in his game? Yes. But Haason Reddick has got a river of holes in his game. I mean, it's no comparison. It's just no comparison. Hey, Twiz says get rid of everyone. On that defense, Sweat, Jalen Carter, and Davis. Yes. After that, get rid of them all. You were bums. This guy wants to keep bums. Zach Cunningham. If Zach Cunningham and Reed Blankenship are starting in your defense, don't let anyone tell you that that's a good sign. Holy cow. Those guys were suspect at best. Okay? I mean, some landing spots for Haason. Yeah, on that defense, Reddick's a bum. What 12 sacks get you? What did he have any impact on your football team this year? No. On that defense? Absolutely not. Did he have a nice season? Yeah. 12 sacks. Got his incentives on a shitty defense. What's the point of paying it? Why am I paying a guy who's a one-trick pony? Why? So you would really pay that and give him a raise to $18 million? Not here. Shit, I paid Fletcher 10 before I paid that guy 15 or 20 or 18. I played Fletcher Coxstack. Fletcher had a better season. He had more impact on that football team, in my opinion. Hey, Sills, it looks like the guys at the NovaCare think of this team like it's a fantasy football. They focus on offense and just – Bob, amen. Okay? Amen. Hey, Flexen, I'm not gonna try to convince you that your boy Josh Sweat is worth $21 million. Because if you don't believe it, I don't care if you do. Okay? The National Football League looks at him as a more valuable player than that guy, even with those sacks. That should tell you something. This guy didn't have but one sack down the stretch, and they still think higher of him. That's a fact, dude. That's not an opinion. That's not a fact. I mean, that's not an opinion. And that's the last time I'm bringing that up. Because if you don't believe it, I'm not going to sit here and debate that with you. Because it's an absolute fact. Then it goes, Sills. Reddick taking a pay cut. Parsons never shows up. Stop it. Update your X account. You'll see the Reddick statement. I saw the Reddick statement. Marshall, in my opinion, they did ask. You know how you don't ask? Jesus criminy. You guys have no idea what you're talking about. His agent was told what they were going to do. And so they put that out there. And it's easy to say this. We didn't ask for a trade. Well, guess what? The Eagles told them, we're not giving you a pay raise. You can seek a trade, because they wanted $20 million. I guarantee you that conversation Have you guys ever been in a negotiation when it comes to contracts in the NFL? Well, I have. And you know what your agent does? Your agent picks the phone up, calls the team, and says, hey, listen, where are we now with Haason Reddick? You know, he's entering into the final year of his contract. What are you guys feeling? Well, what are you guys thinking? You know, we think he has a market value of around $20 million. Well, I'll tell you what. If you guys would like to go out and seek opportunities somewhere else, have at it. And the agent then goes like this, okay, because then he can't show his hand. And then what does the agent do? He turns around and says, we never asked for a trade. When in theory, you started the conversation. Because the Eagles know they have to restructure that deal. And the agent knows that they have to restructure that deal. So that's why the agent started that. Then when they were told not what they wanted to hear, they leaked it out. That wasn't the Eagles leaking that out. You know when the Eagles leak something out. The Darius Slay thing from a year ago should tell you. People at the NovaCare Center, Slay was saying his goodbyes because Drew Rosenhaus was informed that they were going to move on. What did Slay do? Hey, it was great. Da-da-da-da. ESPN reported it. Then all of a sudden, the Gardner Johnson money talks broke down. They ran right back to him. Come on, man. You guys can't be this dumb. Can't be this dumb. Haason Reddick's agent did this. But it's normal. And guess what? They're doing it ahead of free agency so that they can send out the smoke signals. By the way, Angelo Cataldi will join us at 3:30. I think we set the market for a defensive edge with double-digit sats when we traded for Robert Quinn. We traded a fourth. That's Haason's value. I don't think that that's fair. I think he's a third. Okay? I think he's a third. Now, I would love to have Haason Reddick back at a $12 million to a $10 million deal and a restructuring of lowering his base. But I'm not giving him a pay raise. The player doesn't want to hear that. That's why they leaked that out. Because there was no added money. Or even added a year. How about this? Does anybody actually think that the Eagles offered Reddick's agent a compromise in a contract? Wouldn't he have Eagles have come out because they're so PR conscious and said, hey, we want Haason Reddick here for the next 3 years? They're not saying that. You haven't heard a peep out of them. They're not going to do the negotiation in public. The agent will. And by the way, because all of you, once again, fall in for it because you love your bird guys, you guys are so easily manipulated. Oh, yeah. Hey, the fans are going to rally around the player. Screw that. That's so weak and so typical. And you'll buy it because it's the way it is. You guys just absolutely, buy into that shit. Because you love... Dude, don't ever fall in love with the player. Fall in like with him. Howie doesn't fall in love with his players. He falls in like. Because there's a shot he has to move them. Now, does he value his guys more? Yes. That doesn't mean he loves them. That doesn't mean he loves them. General managers and front office people don't love their players. Because there's a time when they got to move them. Or tell them to take a pay cut. You can't get emotional in this. And all of you are. Or half of you. Or some of you are. You get emotional in a guy. Haason Reddick is not a $15 million a year guy. On that defense. Like I said, in Pittsburgh, maybe. On a more talented defense, possibly. Depending, but those teams are usually pretty tapped out with their cap. Let me go here with some of the teams that potentially could make a move for him. Okay? Here's some landing spots for him. The Lions. Brad Holmes pushing all of his chips in. Besides Aiden Hutchinson, they need another pass rusher. Plus, what's the most important thing? Tone, tell them what's the most important thing here when we're talking about landing sites? Money. They have $60 million in cap space that they can make that happen. Remember, don't talk about teams that you think he'd fit in on. Talk about the teams that have the money. You got to start first and foremost, always with money, not with the talent of the player. Does he fit in the scheme? Do we have the money to pay him? Washington, James, is another horrible place for Haason Reddick. They have a ton of retooling to do on that defense. Why would it make sense to go to Washington? Washington needs to spend money, and their focus needs to be on a quarterback. Is Howell the guy or not? You've got to fix the quarterback spot first before you can start talking about bringing in an edge rusher. I got the Colts. They run a 43. And you got another, the Lions are $45 million in cap space. The Colts are at $60 million in cap space. Steichen knows the player. Steichen could probably motivate the player. Here's a football team in the AFC that has to remember something. What's the most important thing in the AFC? Getting to Lamar Jackson, getting to Josh Allen, getting to Patrick Mahomes, getting to Herbert, getting to Trevor Lawrence, getting to those quarterbacks, pass rushing, getting home. Here's a spot. The Texans. Will Anderson, the defensive rookie of the year. You put Haason Reddick on the other side and D'Amico Ryans defense, and the Texans have $57 million in cap space. I think that is a spot for him. And they got draft equity. Why? The Deshaun Watson trade. They got a ton of draft picks. You can make a move that, to me, the Texans are the team. Plus, you get them out of the conference. They have the money. They have the picks. And I think they would have the will. Put them on the other side of Will Anderson. That might fit. That might fit. So wait a minute, Hollywood. What's the clown show? This guy, some of you people are the dumbest people on the planet. You're going to rebuild the defense around a guy who can't play the run or the pass. You'll make it sound like he's an elite player. He's not. He's an elite pass rusher on a good defense. On a shitty defense, he's a dude. Man. I mean, you guys are dumb. It's like having Justin Jefferson in Minnesota. Justin Jefferson in Minnesota will never win a Super Bowl. What are you doing with him there? Are you going to build around him? Are you going to get a top-flight quarterback? So let me guess, you're going to go into the draft and spend another 3 years on trying to win and find a guy for him, right? And you're going to pay $30 million for him. Look, the player's worth it, but not on the Minnesota Vikings. You understand that certain players are paid money on teams that they'll have no impact on bringing a Super Bowl to. Ask Tyreek Hill. Hill didn't make that money in Kansas City. He's making it in Miami. He's not going to deliver a Super Bowl to Miami. But he's going to get paid because he's a talented guy. Sometimes they don't match up. And it's not Devontae Adams. Did he bring a Super Bowl to Green Bay? No. Is Stephon Diggs going to bring a Super Bowl to Buffalo? They're going to cut him after June 1. And you want to pay a guy $18 million as an edge rusher. On a defense, it has to be completely retooled. Sills was talking about the Eagles firing the whole coaching staff. They did. They did fire the entire coaching staff. Hollywood. Here's a statement by a guy who validated what I said. Sills wanted to fire the entire coaching staff. They did. They did. They did. They fired the entire coaching staff. You got brand new assistants outside of Stoutland. Every guy's gone. Thank you. Sills wanted to fire the whole. Right, they did. And thank you, Hollywood, for validating my take. Sills wanted to fire the entire coaching staff. Well, they turned out they did. Talk about numbnuts. You can't get any dumber than what that post was. And look, again, I make a comment, and some of you, again, when I was talking about Reddick, now, because you wanted me to prove that Josh Sweat's worth $21 million. Unbelievable, kid. They did fire the entire staff. So I think Reddick to the Texans is a good move. How about the Rams? Typical Rams move with Les Snead and Kevin Demoff. Could this be something? They like to spend money. Patriots. Jared Mayo said they're going to spend some cash this offseason. Would that be something that they'd be interested in? I doubt it. Because once again, he's one trick pony and he's limited. I got the Steelers. Now, this is not something Pittsburgh likes to do. See, unlike you, the Steelers like to develop their own talent and draft well. Unlike the Eagles, they like to develop people that they draft and hire quality coaches to develop those guys. And they have a head coach that knows how to do it, unlike you as well. You see, what they have is teachers in Pittsburgh. That's why Pittsburgh, I can't think the last time Pittsburgh drafted a wide receiver in the first round. I can't remember the last time they did that. But they always find these guys, including Antonio Brown, Hines Ward, Pickens, all these guys. These guys aren't first-round draft choices. Chicago, ton of money. Chicago's got a ton of money. So let me ask the question here. You know, everyone in Philly Everyone in PA wants the Eagles to keep him. Why? Because he's our best pass rusher. You have more pressing needs than him. You can't cover anybody. And you're not getting home. And you're not going to improve your pass rush next year. Why? Because Fangio's a non-pressure defensive coordinator. You're not blitzing more. Who's going to get home more? Brandon Graham's too old. Fletcher Cox is getting older. Jalen Carter, okay. Haason Reddick. By the way, they ate you up on first and third down. Where was he? Where was he in the last 10 games of the season? You want to pay him $20 million? You want to make him the highest paid defensive player on your football team, and he can only do one of the three skill sets needed to be a complete defensive football player. Wind me up and so you're going to pass rush him every down. Is that what you're going to do? First down, second down, third down. How many times did the 49ers have that guy turned around in circles? I mean, George Kittle made that guy look like an asshole in the game. I mean, it was a joke. The guy turned him around and made him look like an asshole. Okay? You want that guy back at $20 million. You want Fletcher back at 10. So you're going to pay $30 million for those two guys. And your entire secondary sucks. Your linebacking core blows, and your depth on your defense is in shambles, and your $20 million, which 18 is allocated to the draft. And you're trying to tell me I want Reddick back when you got more pressing needs. So who would you rather have on your team, Haason Reddick or Patrick Surtain? Your focus should be on the guy in Denver, not that thing. Now, Reddick, this is what we're going to do. We'd like to pay you $10 million. Lower your, and here's what we'll do. Sign a 1-year contract. Like to restructure the whole thing. We'll give you a bag of money. And take that resources and take it up to Denver and get Surtain in the building. Surtain in the building gets Haason Reddick a $20 million contract. That's what if I was his agent, I'd be telling him. If you go get Patrick Surtain, you put him in your secondary, and you spend some of the resources this year on getting that guy in the building, Reddick's chances of making $20 million next year absolutely increase. Why? Because with one move, you solidify your back end and your secondary with one move. Slay and Surtain, Blankenship, and a safety that's not going to cost you a mint. Your back end is solidified. And that may bring him more money. But just to re-sign him with the current talent you have, you don't have talent on your team on that side of the ball. Stop pretending. You can't. Sills, you like Chase Young on the Eagles as a fit. I like Chase Young on the defense more than I like Haason Reddick. Play to run. And I think he'll be better this year. You know, after you have a knee injury like that, the year after the knee injury is not traditionally a great one. It's a solid one. The year after that is the year you're pretty much back to normal. He does more. And he's younger. And he's played in the division. He knows the division. I'd rather have Chase Young than Reddick because he does more. Don't you want multifaceted players that can do multiple things so you can get multiple value out of your guys? Chase Young helps Josh Sweat on the other side. Haason Reddick doesn't help Josh Sweat on the other side. You know why Josh Sweat had such a good year the year before? Why do you think that is? That Sweat had such a good year the year before. Why do you think? Why do you guys think that Sweat had such a good year the year before when he had the double-digit sack year? You guys know? No. Because the other guy on the other end had 11 sacks. And you couldn't double one guy. Or you couldn't chip one guy. Because both dudes were double-digit. Who are you going to block? When you got one guy not showing up, all the weight falls on that one dude. More reps, less production. Because Brandon Graham gave you nothing this year. And it hurt the entire integrity of the line. When those two tackles in the middle ran out of gas, the entire line fell apart. And Sweat was the only guy hanging in there. But he was sinking in quicksand because nobody was helping him. The year before, you had a guy with double digits that was balancing it. Well, when you take that away, the scale falls. Oh, my God. Some of you guys are just as dumb as the rocks that I kick sometimes when I'm walking. You don't get it. You have no idea how to build a football team. You have no idea when it comes to looking at one guy. You know what's funny? How come Kansas City can get rid of fucking people like the Honey Badger? They can get rid of Tyreek Hill. They can get rid of people when they know that they have to. Even, how about this? We won't use Kansas City. Take a look at Green Bay. Green Bay gets rid of guys. They make the tough cuts. They make the tough moves. Those are franchises. They get rid of Russell Wilson in Seattle and they got better. It's not about paying one guy. Coaching? Oh, okay. So wait a minute. Then you have bigger problems than just signing Haason Reddick. I see the coaching. You're right. You don't have the coaching. What about these new guys? I don't know. We'll see. Dude, the coaching staff is just as much a question mark on defense as the players are. You think because you signed a guy with a long resume, that's going to matter? I gotta, hey man, everything has a place and some people fit in places and some people don't. Okay. PL goes Andy Reid, Mahomes, Spags. That's wise, Sills. Okay? Coaching. Dude, this is why that $50 million paycheck you gave hurts? Okay. I mean, I'm telling you. You spend all your money on offense, you spend nothing on defense, and you want to spend it in the wrong places. Howie's free agency. I completely disagree with anybody who thinks that guy should be brought back at that money or more. He brings you nothing when you suck. And you were horrible. And you're going to be horrible this year. Why? Because you're going to be younger. Why? Because you don't have the money. And when I think that people are saying that Nakobe Dean and Zach Cunningham are going to be your starters, good luck. You're going to start Reed Blankenship, and you're going to start Bradbury and Slay, and you're going to start Dean and Cunningham, and then you're going to draft rookies. You're going to get the same freaking result. You didn't upgrade. Oh, we're going to draft a corner. Good luck, since you suck out loud at that. We're going to draft a linebacker. Good luck at that, since you suck at that too. We're going to draft an edge rusher. Good luck, since you suck at that too. You are making it sound like this guy is some sort of defensive guru in drafting. Do I think they do? Look, they got lucky on Devontae because he has blown at wide receiver as a draft evaluator. Completely, they got lucky on Hurts. You think he's some quarterback guru, Howie Roseman? They completely, absolutely, the whole organization and Wentz blew that quarterback scenario up. You couldn't even get the coach right. Okay? Why in the world would you bring back a guy who can't help you? He's not good enough on that defense. Again, I'll tell you where Haason Reddick would be awesome. San Francisco. Put him on the other side of Bosa. You got Warner and Greenlaw behind him. Shit. Or next to him. That's a place he fits, and he's worth dough there. But they got $570,000 in cap space. It's not a probability. Remember, good teams don't have cap space. Shitty teams usually have a ton of it. Or a team with a Mahomes. It's crazy, but you have Mahomes and $25 million in cap space. You're probably going to have more because you're going to move off of. By the way, you think that the Chiefs are going to move off of Chris Jones? How many people believe that? Hey, here's a great one. How many people think Chris Jones? How many people think Chris Jones is the best interior D tackle in the league now? How many people think that Chris Jones is the best D tackle in the league? Would you say he's the best D tackle in the league? MG2. Me too. Flexing. Chris Jones the man. Right? I would agree with that, Sills. Thanks, Flexing. I do. He's a game wrecker. Kansas City's moving off him. Kansas City's not paying him $30 million at 29, 31 years old. They're not. They gave him a one-year deal. Kansas City's going to move off the best interior defensive tackle because they're not going to pay $30 million. Why? Because they're retooling their defense. And on top of that, they're going to bring in some more wide receivers. And they're going to get stronger by moving Chris Jones and making a tough move. They're going to move off him. So let me get this right. In a matter of 3 years, Kansas City would have moved off of Tyreek Hill, the best deep threat maybe in NFL history, and the best interior D tackle, because they got the guy at quarterback and the coaching. Do you have the guy or not? Do you have the guy or not? Ask yourself. Philly doesn't have the balls to do what Kansas City does. I guarantee you Buffalo moves off of Stephon Diggs. I wouldn't be shocked if Stephon Diggs, they move Amari Cooper in Cleveland, and he lands in Cleveland with Dorsey. They believe they have the guy in Buffalo. Do you? Dude, if you believe you moving on, Reddick. In the Mahomes contract, it's written that if Chiefs even make it to the Super Bowl, then the organization has to pay him. I heard that, but he also made a $1.7 million bonus because he won it. He also made a $1.5 million bonus because he got there. So there's all kinds of incentives that are in his contract. Lee Steinberg, who put the contract together, told me how the contract was constructed with all kinds of little incentives like that. So, Seals, you think the 34 with great linebackers shows these running quarterbacks, slows the running backs down? Hollywood, I would say this to you. How many teams have 4 great linebackers? I think the league today is limited at linebackers. Here, I'm gonna make a comparison to the NBA and the NFL here. Why do you think the power forwards and why do you think the guards are better today when it comes to their stat numbers, say like Russell Westbrook? Why do you think that is in today's NBA? Why do you think that is? When you see a guy like Russell Westbrook and you see like a lot of the guards with like 28, 9 assists, 8 boards or something like that. Why do you think that is? There's no dude on the pivot anymore. There's no Ewing. There's no Olajuwon. There's no Shaquille O'Neal. Those guys are gone. They got hybrid power forwards on the 5. So the numbers are skewed because you don't have the big center down in the middle. So that's why you're seeing the guys in the backcourt have higher numbers when it comes across the board. Well, the reason that the tight end in the NFL is becoming such a major force in the NFL, the linebacker play in the NFL is limited. There's very few teams in the NFL right now that have one good linebacker. Okay? More really good tight ends in the game today than there are linebackers. I mean, you don't have how many teams have a Fred Warner? You don't have those guys. Pittsburgh always has 4 linebackers. Maybe the best of the group of all the teams in the league, probably. Okay, the game, I guess my point is, in the NBA, I'm not saying the game's not better today. I'm saying the game has evolved. You've got to have more Tampa 2 type linebackers in today's game. And that's something that the Eagles haven't landed. You need someone like Derek Brooks, Ryan Shazier, guys who can cover, fill, and hit. Those guys are an anomaly. They're hard to find. TJ Edwards was limited. Get this. He could play the run. He fit gaps. He could kind of cover. He wasn't exceptional, but he could kind of cover. Hey, you want to hear something? You guys never replace. Here's something that all you guys need to know about the way that you guys went about your business at linebacker last year. You couldn't even replace Kaiser White. You couldn't even replace Kaiser White. Kaiser White's better than Kobe Dean. How's that taste? How's that taste? You couldn't replace Kaiser White, let alone TJ Edwards. I mean, so again, finding those backers, it's not as easy as you think. Okay? Luke thinks that Nakobe Dean is better than Kaiser White. So I need to know there, homie. You think Nakobe Dean is better than Kaiser White, who had 117 tackles on your team? Really? And you didn't have a linebacker worth a shit this year. Really? Okay. I mean, it's not hard to look at. Draft Trotter Jr. Why? Because his last name is Trotter? I could give a shit about that. Stop. Right. Hey, I understand what you're talking about, and I get it. Why are people thinking Dean is like a first rounder? He's not. He's a nothing rounder right now. Gives Big Sales Dean a shot. No. He's been here 2 years. He's done dick. Okay, no. Junior's not a stiff. Trotter's not. He didn't have a very good junior year. I thought he played better in the second half of the season. Debo's been on the show. He loves him, and he told me he's a player. Okay? Trotter, listen, here's my take on Jeremiah Trotter Jr. He's a little bit undersized. Now, do you want to go down that road again? I have no problem with it. But my take on Trotter Jr. is this. I don't give a shit about the name on the back of the jersey. If I see him at the combines, I have a great conversation with him. I watch him in workouts. I watch his tape. And personally, I have. And I've talked to Debo. And I talked to Dan Morgan about him, who's now the general manager of the Carolina Panthers. Dan Morgan asked me what I thought of him. And I said this, I go, if he's got two good tackles in front of him, like he had at Clemson, I think he scrapes the lane well. He goes sideline to sideline. I think he could fit on the seam. I don't know if he's a cover linebacker on tight ends, but I think he can get the back down. A guy like Travis Kelce might be problems, and Kittle and them dudes could be problems for him, even Goddard. But again, that takes time when you're covering tight ends. Block and release is one of the hardest. Gronk made a career out of that, block and releasing, and especially if you have the quarterback that knows how to block and release. That's telling the tight end, block, release. It's an audible at the line of scrimmage. It's something that linebackers have to hear and be able to do. And I said, I go, and if it works out that Trotter is in a position for me to take, would I take him at 22? Absolutely not. Would I take him in the second round? I might want to trade down in the second round, not out, and take him at the lower part of the second round. I might consider that. And then the name matters. The name on the back of the jersey is the last thing that matters when you're drafting, not the first thing that matters. So you got to take that out of the conversation. Okay, he's a third or fourth. That's why I'm saying, Devin, more down at the bottom of the second. I might, because I have a need at that position. Okay, I have a need. Hollywood goes, unless your last name is Manning. Well, they did deliver 4 Super Bowls. I mean, as much as I don't really think that highly of Eli, both of them did deliver 4 Super Bowls. So, I mean, hey, Chris, I think he got 2 seconds also. By the way, don't forget Angelo Cataldi will be with us at 3:30. Tone will be with us at 4:30. We'll take your comments. Debo Samuel did not show up in the Super Bowl. He didn't. This year, cornerback Porter Jr. Porter Jr. really had a great year. And he got great coaching. By the way, they moved off that kid that we ended up signing and put him in the backfield. And they put Porter in the draft and they took him. Sills, who you got going first in the draft? It's not, I don't know. You know, I don't believe in Caleb Williams. If that were me, and I get this, if I had a quarterback or I didn't have a quarterback. Like, how about this? If I'm Washington and I have Sam Howell, I'd rather go forward with Sam Howell than draft Caleb Williams. I'm not buying him. I'm just not. I think he holds on to the ball too long. He's never beaten big teams. He's never won big games. I mean, he puts up numbers, but he's a little flaky in the pocket. His pocket presence isn't the best. I'm not high on him. I don't know why everyone is. The kid Drake May, dude, when I look at this year's Tone, right? I don't know about you, but are you like looking at this year's draft and going, wow? I mean, I look at it like last year's draft, CJ Stroud shocked the shit out of me. Now, could there be you know who else did? Anthony Richardson. Anthony Richardson, he shocked the hell out of me. I think the two best players that came out of that draft at the quarterback position last year were Richardson and CJ. I'm not overly impressed with these quarterbacks. I mean, Penix, I think he holds on to the ball and he's got kind of a weird throwing motion. I mean, he got beat up and I thought he started ducking in the pocket when Michigan was beating him up in the fourth. Well, you can't be ducking, man. You got to hang your ass back there in that pocket and take a beating. I don't know. I mean, Will Levis? Really? I don't see it either. Okay? Look, I'm just saying, I like Michael Penix. I thought in the semifinal game, was it against Texas? I thought he was brilliant. Against Michigan, I didn't think so much. I thought he kept his team in there. They just got beat up towards the end of the game. Okay? So, Kitchens. Denny, here's my take on Kitchens going to the Eagles. I've talked to Kitchens, and I've talked to Mario Cristobal. And I go, what do you make of him? Now, he had kind of an injury-plagued senior year. He still made All-American 2 years in a row. I asked him if he reminded him of Benny Blades at all. And he said, not really. But he's a good player. Now, I think personally he's a second-round pick. Would Howie take a safety in the second? Like, personally, I think he's better than anybody you have on your team right now. But would Howie waste a 2 on that? See, to me, I think he goes corner, O-line. O-line's going to be in those top 3 picks. Okay, you can guarantee they're going to go O-line in those top 3 picks somewhere. Could be the first pick, the 22 pick. Okay? Then it could be corner and 2. I think it's a deep draft at corner. I think you can get some pretty good players this year. The corner position has got some players in there where you could get a guy in the second who can play. Okay? Deion's son I think Deion's son that plays in the secondary, I think he gets beat a lot. I'll tell you what, man, that kid that goes both ways, that receiver, defensive back, he's going to be the first pick in the draft next year. He's going to be the first pick in the draft. He's that's a special kid. That's at Colorado. That was at Jackson State with him first. That kid's he's the best player in the draft next year, unless something catastrophic happens. Okay, that kid Travis Hunter is a special football player. He is the first. There's nobody in next year's draft that I would take over that kid. Best player in the draft. I'll tell you what, if he was to come out this year, he'd be the number 1 pick this year. He would. He'd be the number 1 pick. That's when you know, like Will Anderson, stuff. I mean, He's a great-looking football player. All right, Angelo Cataldi is going to join us. I have a question, and then I'm going to ask the same question. This is concerning the future coach for the Philadelphia Eagles. I want to put something out there. Hit the like button. Keep it here on the National Football Show.